Oh, hello there. If we haven't met, my name's Jared. In my last video, my wife and I moved to Alaska. I talked a lot about why we'd leave everything behind, start a homestead out in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. So if you want to know the whole story, I'd watch my last video. But long story short, we've enjoyed being married, but with all the kids gone, we wanted to have a common purpose, something to work together on. And this homestead seemed like the ticket. However, like husbands everywhere, when my wife's not around, I'm going to complain a little bit about how unreasonable she can be. Take, for instance, we're pulling up to the homestead, and she happens to notice that my shop only has one wall. Now, we had a deal. The deal was she'd be happy to move up to Alaska with me if she had internet, power, hot water, and a roof over her head. Sounded pretty clear and pretty reasonable. But here's where she starts getting unreasonable. At this point, and only at this point, she lets me know she also wants walls. Now that wasn't part of the deal. It was a roof. But now she wants walls. Now I do have one wall on the shop, but one wall is not walls. So, here we are. Now, you all know, marriage is about compromise. So, although I think this is kind of an unreasonable demand, we're going to put up some walls. However, I've got a big problem. Everything we own, including everything we need to put up these walls, is being held hostage by our box truck. For some reason, the tailgate won't go down. Since it quit working right after we picked it up from the ferry, I assumed that the problem is that somewhere along the trip, the hydraulic fluid got leaked out of the reservoir. So I should just be able to crack it open with the handyman, get our clothes, groceries, and a few important things like that out, make a quick run to town, grab some hydraulic fluid, fill the reservoir, and I should be back in business. The handyman jack that I shipped up here a couple of years ago totally saved the day. Didn't take too long and I had it open. Took a little longer to get to town, buy a 5-gallon bucket of hydraulic fluid. I didn't know how much I needed, but the reservoir looked pretty big, so I figured 5 gallons should do it. Better to have too much than not enough. Now that I had the door open, I could add the hydraulic fluid. Shouldn't be too long and I'll be back up in business. Then I can get everything out of this box truck and get to the task of building walls. Gotta keep my wife happy. Shh, don't tell her. So I could pretend that I wasn't upset by my 20-year-old box truck letting me down when I needed it most. But that'd just be pretending. So now, most of the stuff I need to build the shop is stuck in the truck. Now I can get some of the things out of the truck, but all the big stuff that's in front of all the stuff that I gotta have the lift gate to get out. So I'm pretty much dead in the water. Drove into town, found some internet, ordered a $100 motor to replace the one that didn't work. Oh, cost me $60 in shipping for my $100 motor. Definitely insult to injury there, but probably something I gotta get used to in Alaska. Anyways, now all I gotta do is wait 6 to 8 days, and I should be able to get everything out of my box truck. No big deal. Well, maybe a deal. Maybe a little big deal. Maybe a big deal. I don't know. Anyways, it is what it is. So we're going to get started on the things that we can do. So as if my box truck holding all my stuff hostage wasn't bad enough, the next morning I woke up to the sound of rain. Now, that really shouldn't be a surprise. I am in southeast Alaska, and it rains a lot. However, I grew up in Nevada, so I'm not used to working through the rain just yet. Now there's a particular reason I wasn't too excited about working in the rain today. The task I had ahead of me was to get the tar paper on the wall. Got to do that before you can get the siding on. Now the guy that designed this shop, that'd be me. He made a tactical error. I should have put 2 or 3 foot eaves on the place, but I only put 6-inch eaves. The problem with that is all the water's going to go right down the side of the wall. Now that's not too big of a deal if you have siding on, but I don't currently have siding on, and I need to get this tar paper in place before I can do anything about that. All that rain that's collecting on the roof, it's going to dribble down the roof, land right on my head as I'm putting up this tar paper. Okay, enough complaining. Just going to suck it up, get this job done. As we were planning the homestead, my wife made it very clear that she wanted to be a big part of it. I get that, but there's no way I'm going to ask her to come out in the pouring rain and help me sling up tar paper. I got this on my own. She must have read my thoughts. Wasn't too much later, she came out to help, all on her own. Maybe she's not as unreasonable as I thought. No, I'll never admit it, but this part would have been really hard to do on my own, so I'm glad she came and helped. I guess she's earning those walls. With the tar paper in place, I desperately wanted to get the siding put on. However, my nail gun's an electronic nail gun, and it's a great nail gun, but electrons and water do not mix. There's no way I wanted to take it under the eaves while it was pouring rain, so I was going to have to wait for another day. Still had a little daylight, so I looked for some other projects that needed to be done. I've been running my generator out in the rain, so I figured it was time to build a little doghouse. Access everything, close it back up. Plenty of air, which generators need. Not a big deal. Keep it out of the rain. Something really needed to be done. Winning! The next day, like an answer to prayer, there was no rain. This was amazing, because I was one strong wind away from my hard-earned tar paper being blown into a big heap. I wanted to get that siding on as quick as possible. Last year when I was here with my friends,
Well-oiled machine.
I got enough siding cut to finish at least half this wall. Plan was to get it up the last day before we headed home. Unfortunately, my friend got about as violently ill as I've seen anybody. After a night of puking, he didn't feel like putting up a wall, and I wouldn't have let him anyways. He needed his rest. But as a result, I have all the siding I need to finish about half this wall. With this wall finished, I got a decision to make. I got to cut more siding. I could go do that now, but it's not raining right now. So I could put up tarp paper while it's not raining, which sounds pretty attractive. However, if I get one strong wind, all my work's going to be undone. Decisions. As you can tell, we decided to put up tarp paper. Hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us. Never know. Ran into a little problem here. It's hard to tell from the video, but that bank gets really steep and there's no space for scaffolding. So we had to get a little bit creative about how we arranged our scaffolding. Creative and gravity. Always a good combo. In spite of my box truck letting me down, I'm making pretty good progress. My next video is going to be all about racing to get siding cut before the wind turns about a roll and a half of tar paper into a crumpled mess. It was quite a race. However, I think this is a good time to skip ahead 5 or 6 days. Got a package in the mail today. Only took a couple days longer than it would to get it home. This, in theory, is going to be the electric motor that I need in order to get my lift gate working again. Feels like a motor. Magic unboxing. Looks like a motor. We'll just pull the old one out, put the new one in, see what happens. Of course, we had some fun. So now, I'll just replace the old one with the new one. In theory, if not in fact. As I was getting my box truck put back together, it suddenly struck me how selfish and ungrateful I had been. That box truck had about 1,300 miles, and it could have broke down at any place there. Anywhere else than at my homestead, it would have set me back a couple of days. I wouldn't have had the tools or any way to fix it. Instead, my faithful box truck waited until we got home before she finally gave up. Once I was home, I had both the tools and the time to get it put back together. I gotta work on that thankful thing. When you look at it that way, suddenly $60 shipping and an unreasonable wife doesn't seem too bad. Definitely give a tutorial how not to put a motor in. But we got her in. That's what the old one looked like. That would explain why it's not in great shape, I think. Moment of truth. See if she fires up. Oh, happy day. Happy day. No need to like or subscribe. I don't care about any of that. All right. But next time we see each other, we're going to cut some lumber.